Hi there guys, this is Jujitsu with another Tinker's Cube Draft with D&D or Forgotten Realms. Rotating out of Premiere and Innistrad the Midnight Hunt joining, figured this would be another chance to make a few fun Tinker Cube Drafts. So let's jump right into it. This set has an interesting Sphinx theme. So if this guy drops board, then it's pretty much hell for the opponent if you have a bunch of cyclers. This is a cute tempo swing. 6 mana for 5/5 is 5/5 flyer is good, and he also has a come into play effect. This is essentially well, if you cast this, you're supposed to wipe out opponent's board, give or take. Some fixing. Not too exciting. So the way I see it, what does this do? Target creature you control fights, creature you control, and then gain life. Not exciting. So we have two interesting options here. I'd say one is the Arc Fiend, which is just a bonanza if it hits the board. And the other one is the Keenra, which is a ridiculous red deck wins kind of card. And I think I'll go ahead with the Keenra. I typically like playing aggro. And here we have, I think we have three interesting options given our previous one. This is actually also pretty interesting. It's a really strong enabler if you're going for an artifact deck. And I mean, this is the kind of thing, if you have like a bunch of treasures, then you can just start drawing a bunch of cards. In terms of my personal preferences, we have the Deadly Dispute, which is crazy good in the black-red theme. We have a Skewer the Critics, which is a lightning bolt after you've dealt damage, which typically should be easy. And we have a Solemn Simulacrum, which is not really in theme with the previous pick we've had, but it's just a very strong 4-drop. I think it's one of the strongest. And then we can also navigate away from aggro. Liking aggro, though, I think I'll stick to Skewer the Critics, and we'll try to go towards that. Hoping that the Deadly Dispute will wheel. So if this is pick number 2, there are going to be 7 additional picks after we've made it, so it should come back around pick number 10. 10? Yeah, because it's second pick. Yeah. Or that should be our 10th pick, so yeah. Here. So this is sacrifice, but I guess it's a reasonable effect, you know, if it causes the opponent to sacrifice a creature as well, and if your creatures are slightly underwhelming. Land or non-land? Okay, that's interesting. We have a Sacred Foundry. I think that this deck typically goes. So again, once again, a few interesting options. Tolorian Archmage is good if you're going for some tempo. You know, sometimes when you're playing red, then opponent might just drop blocker and you have nothing to do about that. But I think that red typically goes into black-red, if you're going, especially if you're going for the sacrifice theme, and then Gutter Bones is just a clear-out staple. So we'll go for that. And Squee also works because you can get him back again and again, but I'm not as excited about him. 3 mana for a 2/1, even though you can cast him, you know, forever, it's just not that exciting. We do have a Den of the Bugbear, which is great, which is just 4 mana, activate 3/2 land, and you can swing and create another Gabo. And it comes untapped if you start with it, so that's nice. What does this do? Yeah, not too excited about that. So I think Den of the Bugbear is going to be the pick for us here. Would we have gone for like the artifact theme with the dragon we saw? We would have probably taken the Horde Robber here, because he generates an artifact. Trying to like think of, you know, what would have changed. Would we have taken a different path? This format is very low on removal. So Grim Bounty, I think, might be one of the few cards that actually lets you just kill something. But it is very, very slow for an aggro deck. It will net you 3 mana after you use the treasure, and I don't know, it's just not that exciting. Grim Lavamancer, however, will let you shock everything once you have 2 cards in graveyard, which you often will with the red deck. You're drawing, you're discarding, you're trading, you're casting creatures, so you should have a fairly deep graveyard very early on. So I'll go for that. So this is kind of the anti-theme of what we'd want to do. So I'll pass on that. This is okay, although a bit slow. you'd expend 3 mana to draw the first card. I think that with this kind of deck, you typically just want to run over. Putrid Goblin will actually give you 2 creatures due to the persist. And any effect that will put a +1/+1 counter on the Goblin will remove the -1/-1, and you can actually juggle him several times through by removing the -1/-1. So that's interesting to note for future reference. And we'll pick him up. Here, what does this button do? So not sure if we'll get there. Probably won't get to the 4 power or greater, so we'll pass on that. So this is very expensive, and we can draw a card and give a creature Death Touch. Not too exciting. And then we have our pick, which is the Scrunger, Scrap Heap Scrunger. Not very interesting. And this, I've looked at this card a few times. Surprisingly, there is some mini theme for Sphinxes. Okay, we'll take the fixing though. We will not go that deep into blue. And here we have a bunch of unplayables. Sure, who knows if we'll get some crazy red-blue card. And this is actually really playable. Barrenmore also, but I think that this is just proper fixing, right? You can just say red and it's just a dual and it comes into play tapped. Probably will not. Actually, let's take the Sacred Foundry over cards we probably won't play. So probably won't play this either. But so white is very easy to slash now. If this would have been a 2/1, we would have played it most likely. But just having a 1/2 probably won't cut it. And here we have very good fixing. We have, what does this do? Okay. So I'm assuming he's going to be blocked more often than not. Rankle is great. And so it's probably between Rankle, Dragon Skull Summit, and the yet to be mentioned Blood Aspirant or Aspirant. Sacrifice a permanent, put a +1/+1. Whenever you sacrifice that or an enchantment, deal 1 damage to target creature. That creature can't block. So that's pretty sweet. And in hopes of Rankle wheeling, in hopes of the Blood Aspirant wheeling, I will take the Rankle here. He is one of the 4 drops you actually do want to run. And, so Village Rites or Bone Splitter. I think we have so many low drops that the Bone Splitter is just a must-have. I think it's one of the best equipments you can hope for in this format, or any. It's a 2 mana for +2/+1, and then you can just keep re-equipping it for so cheap. People have tried to create nerfed versions of this card to varying success. I mean, it is nerfed, but it's not as appetizing as good old Bone Splitter. Here we have 2 interesting options. You see a pair of goblins, which is actually incredibly good. You do not have a lot of red effects that will give you the +2/+0, and getting 2 gobos in a sacrifice deck is pretty good. The tough pass here is actually this one, which is just the perfect fixing you want, right? Short of maybe like Blood Crypt or something. But this is one, in case you accumulate a lot of small dudes, this is quite the finisher. But we can never underestimate the importance of fixing. Bum bum bum. think I will go for the land here. It's a hard pass. I hope it'll wheel. Ooh, and here we have, so 2 cards I'm very fond of. One is the Heartfire Emulator. So it's a 2/2 for 2, which is a pretty, with prowess, which is a good sell already. And if you sacrifice it, deal damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker. So you could just, it's a creature, it could turn into a removal, you can swing with it as a 3/3, great stuff. Unfortunately, we have the Ox of Agonas here. It'll just refill your hand on turn 5, or if you discard it and you have a bunch of other stuff in your graveyard, you can just, exile it as a 5/3 and it will refill your hand. So that is, in my opinion, a bomb, and we'll just go ahead with that. Hmm. So this is a cool card, but really off color. Lets you destroy a non-land permanent. Eye of Vecna is, in my opinion, very slow in almost every format I see it in. Just too slow. Having to expend 2 mana and pay 2 life will just lose tempo, and it's just typically not worth it. Maybe in some life gain decks it could work. We have the Lightning Spear, which I'm never too excited about. 5 mana for 3 damage is not exciting, or 3 mana for +1/+0 and trample, not too exciting either. I think we'll, let's take the retreat. I really don't see us playing it, and if we see anything that's white, then we can just easily play it. Okay, so 2 very difficult options. We have the Blood Crypt, which is the perfect fixing for this kind of deck, and we have a Goblin Banneret. If we're only running black-red, we already have 3 dual lands. Sorry, 2 dual lands, and the Banneret is just really good. Like, 1-drops are very difficult to come by in this format, and having things like Bone Splitter and the likes, just very good to pick up. So we will prioritize that over fixing. Let's see, how are we in terms of playables? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're looking for another 13 cards within this booster pack in the next one. We're kind of heavy on lands without many lands to play. I think we can get away with the cast out. It's either like cast out or pick up like another white fixing thing. We'll take the Havoc Jester here. We might run it. I'm not too excited about it, but we might run it. Still have to see how many sacrifice effects we have. Oh, there we go. So we did wield the Blood Aspirant, and it works well with the Havoc Jester. Havoc Jester means that whenever you sacrifice a permanent, it deals 1 damage to any target. There is a black-red card for 3, which is crazy, which says whenever a player sacrifices a permanent, something like whenever a permanent is sacrificed, you deal that effect, which is bonanzas in my opinion. We'll take the Lower Hold command. Not sure if we'll play it. It is a bit slow. Was hoping to have a slightly faster deck. Don't see green peeking at any time soon, but we'll take the lesson. I think we have legit 0 fixing for green. We'll take this guy. So the Worm of Forever chump blocked. And sure. I think he's actually not bad. That's a very weird last pick. Okay, so here we have a Fiery Temper, and how many ways to utilize that? Not many. We have the Ox, I guess, but that's about it. Yeah, nothing else for us here. Sheesh. Yes, I think it'll be the Fiery Temper. Nothing we really want to wheel here either. Yeah, so easy pick. Nothing in white either, right? I don't know. Restoration Angel. If we do end up going like heavy into white, no, nothing much for us here. So we'll go for that. So here we have the Pyromancer. Let's have an evaluation of how many guys we might just get. So we have two instants and 1 sorcery. So not a lot for there. It's mostly going to be a 2-1 for 2. We also have the Foulmire Knight, which is 1-1 for 1. The Scythe is okay, although a bit slow. I think it's going to be the Pyromancer. I think that by the time we finish the draft, we will have a few more instants and or sorceries. So we'll go for that. Okay, so Faithful Saluting is perhaps a bit slow. But we do have a lot of things that will enjoy having a full graveyard. Grim Lavamancer, the Ox, and Fiery Temper. So either that or something like Chainer's Edict / Neheb, which is okay, but I think that the Faithless Looting is probably good enough for us to pick it right here. The Quill is a bit slow, even though it lets us learn. If it wheels, we might pick it, but it is not part of the aggro plan. So this will be a token generator. Academic dispute. Mask of Immolation is actually pretty nice. Actually, same goes for Moon Skellion, Mono Skellion. Um, she'll start spamming core creatures, which I'm currently not sure if we have a lot to do with. We're just a typical aggro deck, and at some point deals damage equal twice the number of equipments we control. Okay, so that is not many. I think we'll take the Mono Skellion, and I have discovered that the dragon is actually not that bad. This guy over here, you will create treasures as things die, and that will be very frequently because you're constantly fighting. Um, Reaper's Talisman is interesting as well. Basically gives a guy death touch and it's gonna let him get through. So with tokens, it's pretty annoying to be constantly swinging like that. But I think we'll start with the dragon. I think it's very likely that we'll actually manage to get through with him. Here we have a painter, which is one option. We have Heartless Pillage, which is actually a really nice curve out, and a treasure token. Gutter Snipe is not viable since we do not have enough instants and sorceries. It's between the Heartless Pillage and the Painter. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 creatures, and we're very low on the curve out here, so we'll go for that. Here it's either a Siege Gang Commander, and I think we're not big on goblins. We have just 1 or 2. He in himself is kind of like a tap out kind of guy, and the next turn you have 6 damage on the board, 8 even. But I think we'll go for the Pillar of Flame here to kind of keep the curve low. We have quite a bit 5 drops. Here we have, this is life gain, it's not interesting. Draw, discard, and then has power equal to the number of instants and sorceries. You have too few of those. The Death God. I think we'll just go for the fixing here. I think we will run the cast out and the lore hold command. Yeah, and this is the wheel we never wanted. Bum bum bum. Singer Vampire feels really underpowered in this format. Sure, we'll take this. This is, well, they're both kind of okay. Menace. Menace versus Death Touch. Okay, I think we'll go for the Unwilling Toad. Seems a bit more. Oh wow, and this guy wheeled. So they both wheeled. We do not have a lot of power increase effects, I think. So we'll go for Nehab and so this is kind of like you draw a card. So you can take either that or the Mask of Immolation. And okay, looks like we took that. Ooh, and we wheel the Talisman. So we're gonna have some options. We might even pass on white or just run the command. We'll see. Okay, so when it comes to sacrificing, I think we're a bit on the low end here, right? Sacrifice a permanent. Each player sacrifices a creature. We have treasures to sacrifice. Sacrifice a creature. So there is some synergy, but not a lot. We definitely don't have an engine. They're all like do this once cards or effect cards. There is no sacrifice engine or draw 2 cards, whatever. So he's not as exciting. So we'll take him out. Definitely won't be playing any planes. Definitely won't be playing Temple of Deceit. And we will definitely be playing the Ox. I think that we can probably keep the cast out in. In worst case, we can discard it in one of the many methods. Currently, we're running 15 lands. 1, 2, 3, 4 white sources. Let's say 5 white sources if we really need it. The breakdown is red dominant, so we have 1, 2, 7, 8, 9 red sources versus 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 black sources. Sorry, 8. Yeah, this is both. So 3, 4, 8 black sources, and with red we have 6, 7, 8, 9. So we probably have to go up in red mana, at least by 1. Any other cuts we want to make, or do we want to submit with this version? That is the question. If we have any like weak picks, since we have some discard viability, we can also just pass on it and increase the land count for additional consistency. But this probably looks reasonable enough, and I doubt with all of the treasures and everything, I think we'll do just fine with the cast out. Whenever you're splashing, my personal preference is like clearly single color. Splashing for double color is far more difficult to pull off, and you typically want the cards to be on the more expensive side. This card, for instance, we're probably going to want to use this on turn 2 to get the maximum value out of it, or it will make it way more situational. We'll only be able to use this like way later, and you don't want to cast 1/1s later on, nor give creatures necessarily +2/+1. So the farther down the curve your splash is, the more likely it won't be awkward and clunky, and you won't be struggling to get the mana. So that's the small tip of the day, and I'll see you guys in round number 1.